This is the Blue Collar Future Podcast where we talk about the future of trade work. So, there always is a lot of health and fitness talk on this podcast. I'm actually going to stick again with a similar topic, except for I'm going to take a little bit more of a lifestyle approach because I think there's more of a lifestyle issue in the trades more than anything, and that's actually what contributes more to people thinking that the job is breaking down their body than the actual work itself. It's the lifestyle, and it's the lifestyle that's permeated through everything. And it's one generation to the next of people, they start off in a career in the trades and they learn from the people around them, and the people around them don't have good lifestyles. And even if these people do at first, they start to take on some of the habits and goes downhill from there. But first, I wanted to mention a few things. First of all, we do have the Blue Collar Future store up and running. So if you want to support the podcast, go there and get some gear. There's hats, shirts, mugs, um, stickers, all of the like that you can get on and just help support the podcast in some way. Um, we also, there's been a lot going on lately in my own life, had a baby. We just got a drone for the concrete company, and we're going to be recording content with that. So I'm going to keep you guys updated on that. And I just finally invested into a Lunch Ease heated lunchbox, which I've been wanting for a long time, but haven't wanted to spend the money on. And I will talk about that in this episode, actually, but I will keep you updated as I use it. So far, it's awesome. I've been preparing sandwiches for about 2 years to take to work, and it's been good, and it works to keep you away from gas station food and fast food. But I get sick of having the same thing over and over again. With this Lunch Ease, I can take um, leftovers from dinner, from whatever we eat. I can meal prep, and I really like chicken and rice. And my wife likes to meal prep chicken and rice for herself for the week. And I took that on Friday, and it was awesome to have a warm meal, and you can bring however much you want. You don't need to have a giant thing of food, and you can season it however you want. Like, you can do whatever you want to make it different every single day. And I think it's just that extra step towards having a healthy lifestyle and not eating just garbage that you just stop at the gas station to grab or stop at a fast food place to grab. And I think that's about it without going on too much, rambling too much. This episode, I wanted to talk about where to start and simple things you can do to improve your lifestyle in the trades and why. Um, the first and foremost one I thought of, which is a big problem across the board, is get rid of cigarettes, chewing tobacco, and alcohol. They do not serve you at all. They are vices, and they are nasty, gnarly, expensive habits that they just don't help you out, and they hinder you really for a couple reasons. They make the time that you are not using them more miserable than whatever reasons why you may have started, whether you wanted to because you enjoyed it or you wanted to because you were wanting to, have some sort of relief feeling from them. Whatever it is, they're make you more miserable when you aren't using them than you started off for because of using them. They're expensive, and they destroy your health. Alcohol in particular destroys your gut health, and it is not good for you, especially in the amounts that a lot of people drink on the job. I'm talking like a 12 pack every single night, which is not uncommon, and it's pretty sad. And people will be doing that and, drinking a 12 pack, smoking cigarettes, and then sit here and say that trade work is bad for you. and it will break down your body because they have these substances that don't do anything for you beneficially. They don't benefit you at all. All they have is negative consequences, and people still keep using them. Even the positive improvements you get from them wane over time to a point where you just have to take them to maintain a normal state. Okay, because you never get the same high or the same level of um, drunk from these substances after the first time you use them, especially if you use them regularly. And I think all of these might be fine if you can keep them to a minimum and you can not let them get out of control. But that's the problem with these substances is they do get out of control. And when you start smoking cigarettes, for example, you may start with one or two a day, and then you end up doing one or two packs a day. And it's really easy to get to that point. And watching your money disappear like that and smoking all of that and having that go through your body just isn't good. It can't be good. Get rid of that stuff. Okay. Even if you slowly get yourself off of them, they are doing more harm to you than you could ever realize. And that's probably where a lot of your problems are coming from. And as soon as anybody starts complaining about their health to me, and I know that they do these things a lot, I completely shut my brain off because of the fact that these literally cause the majority of problems that people have. And it's insane. Waste of money. Number two is a relatively easy one. Start drinking more water. And these are going to sound like a lot of repeats for people that listen to this podcast regularly, but it's important to reiterate, even for myself, because a lot of are reiterations for myself. I don't smoke, chew, or drink alcohol or anything like that, but a lot of these are affirmations as to why you should start drinking water, drinking more water. Water should be the base liquid that you drink. It shouldn't be Gatorade, it shouldn't be Coca-Cola, definitely shouldn't be beer, and it shouldn't be Red Bulls and Rock Stars and all of that. Should be the first thing you drink when you wake up in the morning and the last thing you drink before you go to bed. And it should be your main beverage every time you go to drink something. You can still have coffee. You can still have energy drinks, even soda a little bit. All of those things still mess you up, mess up your gut if you drink them, especially if you drink them more than you drink water. And I think that is the biggest problem with these substances that people have issues with is they'll start drinking Dr. Pepper, for example. You know, a lot of people that just always have a Dr. Pepper, or the people that get these big 44-ounce things of soda and they fill them up a couple times a day. When all you're drinking is soda or energy drinks or coffee or whatever, that's not what your body's meant to run on. Your body's meant to have water to run properly. So it really is common sense, or should be common sense, that you should be drinking more water than these substances. So I think a general rule of thumb is you should have double the amount of water that you have of other drinks. Like if you're drinking 2 cups of coffee, you need to have 4 cups of water. I think that's a pretty basic rule of thumb. And if you're not doing that, then you probably need to start focusing on that and just keep it in your mind. Because if you keep it in your mind and you start thinking about it and you start thinking about how much you're drinking of all this other stuff and how little you're drinking of water, you'll start to become aware and then maybe realize that it's probably a good thing to just drink some more water and do whatever you can to make it good. I think um, if you have a hard time drinking water, you can add liquid IV, or I know a lot of people drink sparkling water to try to help them drink more. Um, Whatever it is that you got to do, start drinking more water. We are meant to drink water for a reason, and it's there for a reason. Number three, again, talk about it a lot. Pack your own lunch. You know, there's a funny stigma about people that pack their own lunch, like as if it's a bad thing that, like your wife or your mom, like, oh yeah, your mom packed your lunch for you today, huh? But that's not a bad thing. Okay, it's almost become a laughing matter for people if they have, a sandwich and a yogurt and whatever for lunch, rather than just flying by the seat of their pants and grabbing a gas station burrito or stopping at a fast food place. Packing your own lunch helps you be in more control of what you eat. Usually you can be a little bit more deliberate and thoughtful about what you eat when you're packing it the morning of, the night before, or whatever, instead of just stopping by a fast food place and grabbing whatever sounds good. And usually when people do that, they end up grabbing more than they need and a lot of junk, nothing really good, and it just adds to the problem. So you can pack sandwiches, bring leftovers, uh, meal prep at the beginning of the week, whatever is easiest and the lowest barrier to entry. I say lowest barrier to entry because for me, sandwiches were the lowest barrier, the the base level thing that I could make. And I didn't want to forever because I didn't want to constantly be eating cold sandwiches. When I started doing it though, and I started getting deli meat that I'd go to a grocery store and like having them cut it up for me, going to the deli counter instead of just buying a pack of whatever was already there, like turkey breast or something. Started doing that and I started getting some nice, different cheeses and like mixing it up enough. When I started doing that, it started becoming more enjoyable. And I did that for 2 years. 2 years, almost every single day, I brought a sandwich to work. And it worked. It worked fine. Like I mentioned earlier, I just barely switched over to the Lunchies lunchbox, which is brings me to my next point. You can bring leftovers, meal prep all your food, whatever. If you have access to a microwave, that's fine. If you have a microwave and you have room to carry it around, that's fine. If you don't, I'd recommend getting that Lunch Ease lunchbox. You can get just the lunchbox for 130 bucks and promise in the amount of money you'll save by not spending on fast food, which that adds up. You probably pay for that in a month, especially if you're only just bringing leftover food. And the amount it's going to save your body, it's worth it. So you can buy just the lunchbox. You don't have to buy like a carrier or anything with them, and they get a little more expensive that way. Whatever you can do to avoid gas station food and fast food is going to be the best option. Just flying by the seat of your pants, getting gas station food and fast food does not lead to a healthy life, and it causes problems in your body. Your body's not operating properly and you're not recovering good because you're not getting enough nutrients or the right nutrients and you're running on garbage. I mean, if you put ethanol, low octane fuel in a car that's supposed to run on 91, it's going to run crappy. Nowadays, cars will auto adjust to whatever level of whatever grade of fuel you put in them, but that doesn't mean it's going to run at peak performance and you're going to start running into problems, which is what happens with our bodies. You can run on crappy food, but your body makes the adjustments and you don't perform as well when you are eating garbage food, even if you get used to it. Okay, there's no place where eating fast food and gas station food is going to keep you running at the top of your game. Number four, wake up and go to bed at the same time. I talk about this a lot again, but the main goal here is to have some consistency. Again, we're talking about lifestyle today. The biggest problem with that is people aren't consistent across the board for their whole day. One day to the next, wake up at go to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning and wake up at 6 the next morning, or the next day they go to bed at 10 and they end up sleeping in, waking up at 7 or 8 and being late to work. Happens all the time. And that consistency goes across the board. One day they show up prepared with drinks and water and whatever for the day. The next day they don't. One day they show up, they've eaten breakfast, which you can and can't do, you can do, or just not do. I just don't. It's not that big of a deal. They either eat breakfast or um, and have a lunch, or they, oh crap, I didn't bring lunch. I need to go to the gas station and get something to eat. And then when you're at the gas station, you start picking this and that, and you know, uh, a soft drink, an energy drink, a sugary Gatorade, and a bag of chips, and gas station rollers and whatever, to the point that then you have no nutritional food, all garbage, super sugary, and super inconsistent. So wake up and go to bed at the same time. We're all about trying to be consistent. Also, yes, it is hard to do this when you have kids. Um, it can still be done though, especially if these kids are not newborn babies and they're like a year old or older. The routine is really good for children to begin with. So if you tell me that you can't go to bed and wake up at the same time because you have kids, that's just not how it works. Especially after a certain point, you need to be doing that. You need to be putting them down at the same time, and they need to be waking up at the same time, because that's setting them up for their life of having a consistent sleep schedule. Even newborns have fairly consistent schedules if you stay on top of, keeping their diapers changed and keeping them fed. They end up being pretty content and they sleep pretty dang good if you also have some sort of a routine and a schedule and you are on top of your life. And that consistency needs to be not only in the time you wake up and the time you go to bed, but also just the amount of sleep. So even if you don't quite get to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time every day, try to stay around the same amount of sleep. That doesn't work always though, because if you get to bed late, most of the time you have to wake up at the same time because you need to be to work. So being going to bed and waking up at the same time really is like elementary school stuff that a lot of people never were forced to do, so they don't think it's necessary. But it does help a ton, and it helps your body because your body runs more optimally when you have consistency. And that's just the bottom line. Yeah, in our past in human history, we haven't had all that consistency, and there's, feast or famine type situations. However, we still went to bed and woke up with the sun, because it was also not as reasonable to stay up late because there wasn't technology obviously, but there wasn't proper lighting, so you couldn't really do for anything towards the end of the day anyways. So it was kind of just understood that you go to bed when the sun goes down, you wake up when the sun goes up. Now we have all of these different schedules, these wildly different schedules, because of this day and age where we have so much technology and there's so many different jobs and opportunities. Some people work through the night, some people work in the evening and to the kind of late night, and then sleep until midday. You know, whatever it is that you're doing, just try to be consistent. Number 5 is something that I think I go over but don't really make a point of. Make a mindset shift that you are in control of your day and your life, and don't let negative thoughts in or let yourself complain about things. if you make the mindset shift that you are in control of your life and your day and what happens, when bad things happen or things that make you upset happen, you can cope with them easier and keep a level head. And in an industry like the blue collar industry, where there's a lot of stress and mental, physical stress, and a lot of timelines, and um, you deal with environmental issues and scheduling problems like crazy, people not showing up. It's really easy to get super frustrated and take it out on people. But if you make the mindset shift that you're control over how your day goes and that you're making the decisions on what you can do, and really in each situation you only can do what you can do, then the course of action is simple. You just make do with what you have. Don't let negative thoughts in or complaints in, because all that does is breed more negative thoughts and more complaints. If you're sitting there complaining about this person and that person, all that does is perpetuate throughout your whole day, and it makes your whole day miserable. This is more of a reminder for me than anybody else here. Okay, because I do this as well. And the reason I say this is the days that I decide that I am in control of how I'm going to act, react, what's going on, it makes everything easier, because when something happens, guess what? We can only do what we can do. We need to solve the problem, get it fixed. That's all we can do. Somebody doesn't show up, well, we got to kick it into overdrive and pick up their slack. There's nothing else you can do. But if you are in that state of complaints and negative thoughts, then all you will do is be miserable and be doing the same thing. You'll still have to be doing the same thing, but you're going to be miserable and complaining and bitching about it the whole time. Number 6, I will say, is do physical activity outside of work. And I say this because when you get into the habit of working hard every day and then just going home and laying down on the couch, it doesn't make you feel better. And I mean, I don't think people really understand that when I'm talking about these things, a lot of these things I've figured out for myself from either experiencing or watching happen. When I myself don't do physical activity outside of work and I just go lay on the couch, I feel more tired and I feel more sore day in and day out. Okay, my body hurts more a lot of times because you're slouching and you have bad posture. And when you aren't moving, to your body's not sitting there conserving all the energy that you have to make you more energized later on. All you're going to do is feel tired and feel more tired. This is a phenomenon that I've observed over the past, I don't know, 10 years that I've been really working and doing a lot. I talked on a podcast I recorded earlier that when I was in high school, over the summer, I used to work doing concrete, and I also worked on a farm. And there was a summer or two that I worked 90 hours a week, every week, the whole freaking summer. Had a ton going on. I would do concrete, go move sprinkler pipe, go haul hay, go um, work on a horse that needed to be ridden. I was raising a lamb for the fair. Um, there was a lot of stuff going on. Throughout all of that, I did not think, oh man, I need to go sit on the couch and just lay down and relax. When your mind is um, engaged and you're staying moving, you're not going to keep feeling as tired. Obviously, if you're working your guts out constantly all day, you're going to feel tired, but that's good, because at the end of the day, if you feel tired, you're going to want to go to bed. And when you go to bed, you're going to sleep better. And your body's going to feel like it needs to go to sleep at the same time every single day when you get into that routine. But doing that physical activity isn't going to take away energy from you. It's going to give you energy later on. Later on in that day, later on the next day, you're going to feel better. You just are. It's something I've noticed over my life. Um, very, very interestingly, the more you do, the less tired you feel, really. It's like a lot of people just get into this idea that they've worked 40 hours, they've worked too much, they're tired, and then they just sleep all the time. They just get into this thought that they're tired, and then their body thinks that they are, because what you put in your mind is going to manifest itself out. That's why that mindset shift that you're in control of your day is important to make. When you start getting those negative thoughts in and those complaints, all you're going to do is feel miserable and be doing the same thing, but you're just going to be miserable doing it. Physical activity outside of work is a big one, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy. I mean, we're not talking about preparing for a bodybuilding competition. We're not talking about preparing for a powerlifting competition and killing yourself doing that. Even if you were doing that, you wouldn't have to kill yourself. What I'm talking about is just do something. Again, reminder for me as much as anybody else, do something. Go for a walk, which I personally don't like, but helps a lot to go for a walk after work. Um, Work out, go fishing, go hiking, like whatever it is that you do, whatever hobby you have, do something that's physically active and or at least engaging, like have some sort of project that you're working on outside of work where you can keep your mind engaged. Because if you just go to work and you have this crappy lifestyle and you go home and you sit on the couch and you drink beer and watch TV or whatever, that does not help you at all. We're not meant to sit on the couch and watch TV, even if it might be entertaining. And, I do it as well. If you're doing that day in, day out, constantly, that's all you're doing, it's not going to help you. It is flat out not going to help. And it is what is contributing to your crappy health. A lot of these lifestyle changes that you can make can improve your health and overall energy and mood more than you could believe. If you noticed, I didn't really include working out specifically. That's a really big change you can make, and it's a lifestyle change. It's not even just a hobby or a activity you do. It becomes a lifestyle, and that will help you as well. But I talk about that so much that um, I just figured I would include physical activity in general. Because as long as you're doing something, it's going to be beneficial for you. All right. If you got something out of this episode, share it with a friend who you think would get something out of it. Let me know if there's any topics you want me to discuss on solo episodes. I have been kind of um, in a little bit of a haze the last few weeks where it's just kind of been going through the motions. There's been a lot going on. The house has been keeping me busy, been really busy with work. Obviously, after the baby being born. So I feel like I haven't put as much effort into the solo episodes, and I really want to improve the quality of these and still am entertaining ideas of switching up the way I do these solo episodes, but we will see how that goes. Appreciate the support. Couldn't do this without all of the people listening. And if you're listening, I appreciate you listening, and we will see you next week.